There are always them games that you hear about but never bother playing. The World Ends With You is one of them for me. I've watched so many DS videos and this is always somewhere to be seen on them. A great RPG built for the DS that people seemingly adore. Back when it released on the Nintendo Switch, I bought it, played it for a few hours and then gave up. The controls are extremely clunky, especially in dock mode. The map is easily one of the worst I've ever seen in a game, and the narrative failed to hook me in the 2 hours that I played. Fast forward a year or two, Neo The World Ends With You was announced, and I say to myself that I have to give it another chance. And so I did. Turns out this game is becoming pretty rare physically, but I managed to find one for €40, so I was happy. So was it worth going back to? Well, let's find out in this retrospective review. Hi everyone, my name is Adzi, or Adam, you can call me whatever you want. Now, let's talk about The World Ends With You Final Remix on the Nintendo Switch. The original was released when I was 9, so I wouldn't have been too big into deep RPGs back then. I played Kingdom Hearts and some Final Fantasy, but that was about it, and of course this has Tetsuya Nomura written all over it. I mean, just look at some of these similarities. I won't be going deep into spoilers, rather I'm going to talk broadly on certain aspects of the story that grip me. It begins with an introduction to Neku, our too cool for school protagonist, and guess what? He has amnesia, what a shocker. And yes, he looks like Sora. Tetsuya Nomura has his hands in this game, but I'll touch on the similarities to Kingdom Hearts later. The basic premise of the story is that Neku was thrust into this Hunger Games-esque battle royale. Here he makes a pact with another player which is integral to having success in the game. This is where the similarities with Kingdom Hearts begin. As you explore Shibuya, some Reapers orchestrate the whole game, fighting players, placing traps and causing all sorts of havoc. Remind you of anything? There's a handful of unique ones who pop up throughout the story, and just like Organization 13, they are great characters. They all have hard to pronounce Japanese names, so it's hard to remember them. The two standouts are the pink-haired girl who has anger issues and loves to take it out on the players, and the Mats guy, whose name is Sho, so that's not too hard to pronounce. Kingdom Hearts is about 47 games to flesh out Organization 13, but here the game is less than 20 hours long, so I have to commend the developers for making them stand out. Something is endearing about the characters. Neku grows across the story, initially disliking others' company, but in the end realised the importance of people around. I absolutely loved his arc, and I haven't even mentioned the sidekicks. The game is broken up into 3 weeks, each one given a different part. Shiki is dealing with self-hatred and wants to be someone else, and while I haven't experienced this personally, her story hit close to home and I was invested from the get-go. She is the character that introduced Neku to the importance of not locking others out. Joshua is a mysterious fecker and I was intrigued the whole time I was partnered with him, and Beat, well, he's just Riku, that's all I'll say about that. As a narrative, it cut deep. A few of the beats, pardon the pun, hit close to home, so it resonated with me. When I initially played this, the narrative didn't hook me, but after a few hours on my second go-around, I was absolutely hooked. I even started to enjoy the gameplay, which is complicated. It's hard to say whether or not it will resonate with you, since there were certain aspects that felt personal to me. If you like what you see, then please subscribe. If you're a variety gamer like myself, then you might find something you like. Now, back to The World Ends With You. The gameplay is where it kind of craps itself. There are certain things I can excuse, as this was built from the ground up for the DS, so translating to a home console is not so easy. The whole game was controlled on the touchscreen of the DS, so swiping, dragging and drawing I'd imagine worked pretty well on it. However, the devs had the task of translating that onto a Switch. In handheld mode, it works quite well with a touchscreen, but I would have liked to have a stylus bundled with the game, because my hands constantly block the screen. Unfortunately, in dock mode, the controls were terrible. You use motion controls, moving a cursor around on the screen to attack. It works okay for simple motions like slashes or pressing, but anything like scratching an area or drawing a shape and you may as well forget about it. The combat is unique. You equip Neku with pins that act as his abilities. The sheer amount of them is staggering. Shibuya is obsessed with fashion, so every pin is made by one brand or another. Each brand is unique and I had a blast mixing and matching pins. Natural Puppy was my favourite, and The World Ends With You rewards you for having favourites. Each area you enter has popularity charts, so one might give you double attack for a certain brand and weak attacks for another. But luckily, the more you use the brand, the trendier they become. So eventually a lot of the areas had benefits to Natural Puppy. The gameplay experience in general is customizable. Difficulty can be changed on the fly from easy, normal and hard, but on top of this there is a slider that can be used to up drop rates at the cost of your own HP. I wish every JRPG had this option. It's nice being able to tailor how much or little grinding I want to do. I mostly played in handheld, but I played in dock mode for recording and I dreaded every single time I played it. The moment-to-moment gameplay is quite dull. Running from area to area finding the next story trigger became a slog, especially considering how bad the map is. It is easily one of the worst maps I have ever seen in a game. I hope Neo improves upon it. Your sidekick usually tells you exactly where to go, but the map plain and simple doesn't work. Each area has a few letter abbreviations, but it doesn't correspond to the name of the place, so I spent a fair bit of time walking around like a headless chicken. Even with these issues, The World Ends With You still got its claws into it. The game is so unique and it truly felt like nothing I had ever played before. The most striking part of The World Ends With You is its audio-visual presentation. I mean, look at these cutscenes, they're absolutely beautiful. The narrative is delivered in this visual novel style and I couldn't get enough. The colours pop right off the screen. The character designs are phenomenal, but that is to be expected with anything that Nomura has his hands in. Even the enemy designs are great, my favourite being the basic frogs, but that's mostly because I love the colour green of frogs. Even though the enemies are animals, the tribal designs make them stand out, and I've saved the best for last, the music. The tunes here are fecking fantastic. Unfortunately, I can't show you them because I'm afraid it'll get flagged, but for weeks I've been singing these songs. I even added them to my gaming playlist on Spotify, so just do yourself a favour and go listen to some of them. I think it says a lot about a game that I could sit here and talk positively about it, even though the moment-to-moment gameplay, except the combat, was pretty boring. The map is bad and the control scheme is meh. All I can say is that I can't wait for Neo. Anyways, I really appreciate your time and would love to know what you think of The World's End with you and if you're excited for Neo. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Discord down below, and see you all on the next video.